Why is victimology crucial in criminal profiling for cold cases? Imagine trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. That's what investigators face when working on cold cases. Without fresh clues, they need other ways to find answers. One of those ways is victimology. It's the study of victims, their backgrounds, routines, relationships, and lifestyles. In criminal profiling, especially for cases that have gone cold, victimology helps investigators look beyond the crime scene. It guides them to understand why a particular person was targeted. This isn't just about facts. It's about seeing the victim's life story, which can reveal patterns and motives that physical evidence alone might not show. Profilers aim to figure out what kind of person might have committed the crime by analyzing behavior, evidence, and context. They look at how the crime was done, what was done to the victim, and what the offender did afterward. But if they don't understand the victim, they might miss important clues. Victimology answers questions like, who was this person? What was their daily routine? Who did they spend time with? What dangers did they face? These details help narrow down the suspect list from a large group to a smaller, more likely group. For older cases, physical evidence can be degraded, witnesses might no longer be available, and leads may have gone cold. That's when victimology becomes even more important. By reconstructing the victim's life, investigators can spot overlooked relationships, conflicts, or patterns that suggest a motive or opportunity. For example, knowing a victim's habits might show how they crossed paths with the offender, or if the crime was targeted or random. This can change the direction of the investigation, pointing to suspects who had access, motive, or a prior connection. In real investigations, victimology helps determine if the attacker was a stranger or someone the victim knew. Profilers use victimology to assess how likely it is that the offender knew the victim. If the evidence suggests familiarity, the focus shifts to the victim's social circle, workplace, or family. If the crime looks random, the profile might look for patterns in other unsolved cases or consider serial offenders. Behavioral analysts examine the victim's social ties, relationships, lifestyle, job, and even attitudes. These factors can show why someone was chosen as a target, whether the crime was personal, or what the offender's mental state might have been. For example, a victim with a risky lifestyle might have been targeted because they were vulnerable. On the other hand, a victim with no known enemies might suggest a different kind of offender. Victimology also helps uncover gaps or biases in the original investigation. Cold cases often suffer from incomplete work, and revisiting the victim's profile can reveal missed leads or new angles. For true crime stories, understanding the victim's life is key. It not only helps solve the case but also respects the victim by making sure their story is fully told. It's important to remember that victimology is just one tool. It works best when combined with forensic evidence, behavioral analysis, and traditional detective work. Profilers need to avoid stereotypes or assumptions about victims, as these can lead to bias. The goal is to use victimology objectively, letting the facts guide the profile. In the end, victimology is vital in criminal profiling for cold cases because it gives context, reveals motives, and helps direct investigations toward the right suspects. By focusing on the victim's life, investigators can breathe new life into old cases and often find the missing piece that leads to solving the crime. For true crime fans, this approach not only advances the story but also highlights the human side of every investigation.